Hello. Hello. Welcome to my bed. I hope you can hear me. Once again, this is a bit of an experiment for me. Oh, somebody's here. Hello, person. Welcome. Welcome to another stream from me, Sam Zog. While I'm sipping some tea. So, I considered making this a non-live video, just recording myself talking, editing it later. But then I thought to myself, that's what I need is another video to add to my pile of videos that I need to edit that will, who knows when that's going to get done. It is going to get done though. So I decided let's go live because that also gives me a chance to speak a little bit more off the cuff. I was considering going live over the weekend because I had kind of an interesting experience at COVID testing as well. But I'm glad that I saved it now because then I can just do those things at the same time. Okay, so to begin this dentist adventure begins about a week and a half ago. I wake up and I notice that, or I guess I don't know, at some point in the day, I noticed that my mouth was kind of hurting. And I've been eating some Halloween candy and like soda and stuff recently. So I was like, okay, I probably just overdid it with the candy and the soda. And I haven't been to the dentist in like 10 years. Like, seriously. I think the last time I went, I was like 20. So it's been a minute. And that's one reason why I've been putting it off is it's just been so long at this point that I was pretty nervous about it. Especially during this pandemic. Anyways, okay, let me jump back. I got a little sidetracked there. So my mouth was hurting, and I kind of looked at it, and I could see there was like some sort of like webbing discoloration, and so I thought, well, okay, I should probably just go to the dentist. This is probably a cavity. I mean, it's been a minute, so might as well go. And so I went. So I called just to see because I was like, well, they do have students. They do have student dentistry. And although still being furloughed from my job right now during the middle of the pandemic was not exactly the ideal time to be going to the dentist, definitely not my top timing. I actually tried to avoid it before I called them for like a week. I actually spent $18 and I bought a little, those little tooth cleaners. I bought one just to see if maybe I don't know if I could just do something, see if maybe if it wasn't a cavity and I was just like, I just need to clean it up a little bit. Anyway, the Amazon review that made me buy it was supposedly from a dentist, and he was like, this is an amazing tool. It's so good. I'm not a dentist anymore, but I used to be. And man, this is exactly what I was going for. And I was like, it's $18. The dentist says that it works the same level. I'm just going to buy it. Tell you what, that was not true at all. I think it'll be, I don't know, maybe a nice little in between. Maybe you can scrape some stuff off of it. But I realized pretty quick that I was like, okay, whatever this is not going to do the trick. And it wasn't really hurting anymore, but the fact that like my gums were kind of irritated that one day just made me be like, okay, we'll call. So fast forward to COVID testing because you got to get a COVID test before you go. Fair enough. They're in your mouth. It's a whole thing. I get it. So I set up an appointment. The lady on the phone was so very nice as well. Just took care of everything for me. So I go and I have no idea where I'm going. I have no idea what I'm doing. Um, I find a parking lot at the hospital. Turns out it was probably not the parking lot I should have been at. And I just ended up like, it's about my time slot. And I'm just wandering around the hospital, just being like, where the heck do I go? I end up just kind of trekking down this hill. I ask, there's like a guy working on construction stuff. And I'm like, hello, sir. I am very lost. I just need to be tested for COVID. Like, where do I do that? And he's just like, I don't know. That's probably at the hospital, like down there in the other part of the hospital down there. So I'm like, okay, I'll just walk that direction. Hopefully it'll make sense. So I'm just trekking down, going down the big old hill, cutting through the grass, not even taking the sidewalk, just cut through the freaking grass. And I get to this clearing area and I see this giant tent. And I'm like, that must be COVID testing. It makes sense, right? It's outside. Um, you can shuffle people in and out. So I start to approach this tent. But as I get closer, I notice this giant pissed off sign saying, "This is not a COVID testing tent. Please go inside." So I was like, okay. I'm not really sure of the procedure because I like go to one door and it's like, this door is temporarily closed. Please go to the other one. And I'm like walking to the other one and there's kind of the security guard standing there. And I'm just like, not sure what I'm supposed to do. So I just kind of like walk in and I'm like trying to not touch anything because I don't know, that just seemed appropriate. And so I'm just like walking through. And so I just go walking through the open doors and there's another security guard and I'm just getting like anxious and I'm just like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. And so I walk in and another security guard approaches me and I am just like, I am so lost. Can you please just tell me where COVID testing is? I've been wandering around and I just don't know where I am. So he's like, "Oh yeah, he was super nice. Through the double doors, down past the other doors, right in cardiology. There you'll find it." So I go, I have a real nice chat with the lady at the front desk. Like, honestly, she seemed like she was really enjoying my company because I don't know. I imagine that people haven't been very happy lately, but I was in a pretty decent mood. So she was just like chatting with me, and it's the first time I've ever been. So I have to make a whole freaking new chart. They have to put me in as a new patient. And I'm like, dude, they told me they were just gonna like swab me. It was gonna take 5 minutes and I was gonna be able to just be out of here. Because I think I mean, I don't know how else we can do it, but it's very ironic to me that in order to get tested for COVID, you have to go to the one place where you're probably most likely to get COVID. I mean, a COVID testing center just seems like the place that it's probably most likely to potentially be there. And so I'm really stressed out because it's like, well, I've been alone for, just chilling in my room for months. And and now I'm forced to go to the one place where there is most likely to be like COVID. And I'm like, great, so logical, love this. But I understand. What else can you do? And if you're going to the dentist, I understand. We're trying to protect each other, okay? But at the same time, I was just like, this just doesn't seem like the most effective way to do it. So I go and the lady calls me and it's just like she's clearly pissed off. I was a little bit late, admittedly. I got lost. I thought I knew where I was going and I was wrong. So I was a little bit late. She was like, "Come on, let's get you back there." And so she's like, "Okay, so did you get your swab at the front?" And I was like, No. And she's like, "Oh, so you skipped that part." And I was like, I guess so. I didn't mean to." And then she's like, "Okay, well, what about your chart? Blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about? Was I supposed to set something up? What?" And then she just rolls her eyes and she's just like, "Okay, we'll get you set up with your chart." I'll have them text it to you. And I'm like, okay, guys, geez. So they bring me to this little room. And of course, it's just like, it's very plain, just white, small plastic table chair in the corner. There's some hand sanitizer and like a thing that you're supposed to put your swabs in. And I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to go, but they just had me swab myself. I don't know if that's the way that they do it, but that's what they did with me. I don't know. So she just kind of explained to me that she's like, okay, you got to scrub both nostrils. And then with this other one, you got to get your tonsils. So I'm like, okay, everybody complains about how bad it is. It really wasn't that bad. Like, she's just like, okay, it's got to be an inch in. That was the thing. It's got to be an inch in your nose. I've got a pretty big schnoz though, so it wasn't really a problem for me. So it's a little tickle, put it in. And then I was just like, well, okay, I guess that was that. Pretty easy, honestly. And then I just, uh, after the fact, though, it was really funny because the fact that that lady brought up that I was supposed to get some sort of initial test when I entered, which makes sense. But as I was exiting, actually, that is when I realized there were actually some arrows on the ground. And so I had actually entered through the exit. And in my brain, I'm like, dudes, there's 3 security guards standing right there. If any one of them had wanted me to be pre-swabbed or something like that, they had ample opportunity. They watched me walk through, because the door was open. So I just figured that's the way they wanted us to go. I didn't see the arrows on the ground until after the fact. So basically, we're in a COVID world. There's lots of arrows on the ground. You should always be looking on the ground because you never know which way you're supposed to be walking. Anyway, that was the first part. The COVID test came back negative. I figured it would, unless I caught it while I was there at the freaking testing center. So this will bring us on to phase 2, which is actually today's portion. So, of course, I'm not looking forward to it because I've already kind of pre-talked to them about like the pricing of stuff, and I'm like, I think I've got a cavity. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. It might, maybe there's more than one tooth affected. I'm not really sure. I need to get it looked at. And they're like, okay, well, it'll be this much or this much because I don't have dental insurance. And I was just kind of like, which is why I actually ended up going to the student dentistry. I was a little nervous about that at first, but I actually think that was the best. Spoiler alert, that was the best dentist experience I've ever had in my entire life. Granted, I haven't been to the dentist in 10 years, so I guess it's been a minute since I've had an experience. But I was a little nervous about it being students and it being COVID, and I just thought it was going to be a really miserable experience generally. But it wasn't. So I get there, I'm like so freaking stressed out because I have this thing where before I leave anywhere, I get very stressed. It's like whenever I'm about to leave my house, I'm always like, okay, gotta leave now, gotta leave. Do I have everything? Is everything okay? And I do this little check of myself and just my environment before I go. And that can easily take anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes of me just like being like, is everything okay, Macarena? Is everything okay? Did I forget anything? Did I leave anything? So spent a little time doing that, and finally get out the door, and I miss my initial turn to get to the place, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I end up turning down this other road, and I'm like get so stressed out because I hit almost every single freaking light on the way down there, every single one, and I'm just feeling my anxiety just like. I don't want to be late for the dentist. And then I'm just like, it's fine. If you're 5 minutes late, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm just like, gotta make it to the dentist. I could, I haven't really had time crunches on me lately. Normally, lately I can just like leave at whatever time I want. So anyway, wasn't used to that. And I had to reacquaint myself with the outside world and the ways of schedules and times. Anyway, my instructions were when I get there, I'm supposed to ring the doorbell that says dental on it. So I get there and I waddle over to the door and I see the button that says dental and I boop and I'm like, don't get any response for a minute and I'm just kind of like, maybe they're mad at me for being 5 minutes late. But she comes to she comes to the intercom after a couple of minutes and is like, "Oh, are you here for an appointment?" And I'm like, "Yeah, should be on the list. I'm Samantha. My COVID. I got some confirmation from you guys that my COVID test was negative, so I can like come in." And she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah. Just wait there. We'll come get you in a minute." And as I'm waiting out there, this small older like Hispanic woman walks up and she is kind of confused and doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm here for the dentist. What are you here for? Are you here for the dentist too?" And she's like, "No, I'm here for medicine." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know if they told you to ring the doorbell, but that's what they told me to do. There's another one right here, so let's like push it." And so we're both wearing masks. Her mask is kind of falling down off of her nose a little bit, and as we're talking, and we're kind of standing not 6 feet away, and there's this part of me that's like, "Is this okay?" Like so I keep kind of like teetering back, being like, "Oh, maybe I should give us some distance," but then I'm like, "Oh, maybe she thinks I'm rude because I'm doing that." And she was so nice. And finally, the intercom comes up for her and they say their message and then they repeat the message again in Spanish. And she turns to me and she's like, "Oh, that was so nice of them, the way that they said it in English and then they said it in Spanish." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that was really nice. I agree. That was really nice." And then I just kind of had this nice little chat with this little, you know, lady, and it was really, really pleasant. We just stood out there, uh, talking like normal human beings, but something about it felt taboo. That was something where it almost felt like having this pleasant moment with this woman almost felt like it was wrong in a way. Uh, but it was just so lovely. And I could just feel there was just like this connection that I feel that I've been like missing, because really the only human interaction I've really been getting much of lately is just like at the grocery store, and it's very like transactional. This wasn't a strictly transactional interaction I was having with this stranger. And it just felt personal and nice. And I was just like, huh, didn't know we missed that feeling. So that was the first of the revelations that made me realize maybe this pandemic is affecting me more than I thought. That was the first of a few that made me realize, okay, uh, I've been enjoying being alone. Don't get me wrong. I had been enjoying my sweet ass alone time. It has been so good for me. But that was one of the first of many moments where I realized that I'm like, oh, I think it must be the pandemic must be affecting me more than I thought. Sorry, I was fixing something real quick. We're adjusting something real quick. Can you hear that? Is that making a difference? Okay, well, hopefully that sounds better and not worse. I just noticed something. So, okay. So they bring me in. I enter. I stand at the I'm the only one in there. I think I might have been the only customer, patient they had that day. I kind of got that impression because from what I've heard, they have two time slots, 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock. I had the 1 o'clock slot, so I guess it's possible somebody had already like way left by the time I got there. But when I got there, it was just so quiet. Um, and I go in, and it's this tiny, tiny little clinic. And the lady's really nice. She signs me in, and I talk to her, and I'm like, so I know when I initially set up, this was just supposed to be like an introduction, you know, uh, get some X-rays, figure out what's up, and then come back later. Um, kind of deal. And then and then I'm supposed to come back for round two. But I was like, is there any way, like any way at all, if they have time for me to just get everything done in this session, that would really help me out if that could be the case. And she was like, okay, well, we'll tell you what. And I was like, just the money situation and all that, if I could just get it all in one little package, if possible. If not, I'll come back. And then not having to deal with COVID testing again. I was like, if I have to, then I'll do it. But if not, then okay. And she was like, okay, well, I'll talk to them, and I'll see if they're up for it. I'll make a note that you'd be interested in doing as much work today as possible. And if they're up for it, then okay. So I go back there, and I'm wearing my mask, and I'm just kind of like, okay, wondering at what point it's appropriate for me to be unmasked, because as much as we're trying to be cautious at that point, I mean, it's just kind of like my mouth is going to be out. There's no way to do dental work without it. So they bring me over to the X-ray machine, and I'm like, and they get the X-rays, and that's the moment. Because they're like, okay, we need to bite down on this thing. We'll run your X-rays. So take off your mask. And I'm like, okay, this is the moment. I take it off, and honestly, I didn't expect how good it would feel. Like, it's weird because honestly, I've been enjoying wearing a mask in public, to be honest. I've been enjoying being able to go to the grocery store and be a little bit incognito and just not wear makeup or do anything, and nobody sees your face, and it's been pretty freaking great, I think. But so I really didn't expect, like, it's like I feel like the mask has almost made me like ashamed of my face in a way. I just noting psychological changes in myself. Just noting that. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to make a thing. Okay, I'm just saying. I've noticed that now I feel weird if my face is uncovered, and I'm like, oh no, everybody can see the ugly bottom half of my face. Ew. So I was expecting that to be the sensation the entire time. And I did get a little bit of that where I'm like, ugh, my face is exposed. I look weird, probably. I haven't been to the dentist in 10 years. I hope my mouth is fine. I even said that to those guys before they started. It was two young med students, and I was just like, I apologize. I'm like, it's been a while since I've been to the dentist, guys. Like, I've been doing my best to keep my teeth clean, but I know for a fact that there's like 10 years worth of tartar built up on my permanent retainer here. So apologize in advance for that. And that was a journey, I tell you what. So, anyways, we go back, they do more X-rays, and I was a little nervous about the whole student thing, but I actually think that I actually think I liked the experience a lot more with students than with your usual dental professional, because I think they were just a lot more, they were careful and attentive, and I feel like I learned a lot too, just listening to them, because, you know, they're there to kind of like check each other. And, you know, it was interesting actually to hear them like in my teeth, looking at things. Oh, hi, Haydar. Hello. Welcome to this stream. I thank you. I appreciate the thumbs up. I'm right in the middle of my story of going to the dentist today. Oh, thank you. So we're at the dentist. They had just taken some more x-rays and fashion question. Okay, fine. Tell you what, pause. What's the fashion question? If the other person watching also wants to chime in with questions, I'm down. What's the fashion question, Haydar? Little break from our normal. Would you please show us how to tie shirt or jacket around waist style by sleeves? Well, little, I don't know exactly what that means, but I know what I'm about to do. I'm not sure if you're intending me to like fully demonstrate for you how to do this very basic, simple fashion move, but okay, this is actually the jacket I wore to the dentist, which is another reason why I decided to take this moment and get up, because now you can see a little bit more of what I actually looked like today. I was wearing this. So what you do is you take it, you grab the sides, you're gonna put it around your body, and you're gonna take it, you're gonna loop, you create a cross, and there you go. Now you are a fashion queen. Thank you for the question, Haydar. I hope that helped. All right, back to our normally scheduled programming. So they're doing you're welcome. So they're doing all of these x-rays on me, and like I said, I thought that it was going to be a worse experience, but it was actually a lot better for me, I thought, because they were like commenting, they're like on my teeth, you know, so I got to hear a lot of uh, really detailed things, because the thing is, when you normally go to the dentist, they usually keep those ideas to themselves. Because it's like they have all that knowledge already pre-cataloged in their mind, so it's not like they're telling you what they're noticing about your mouth. They're just doing it. They're just taking note of what's going on in there, and it carries on. But since it was two students, they were bouncing back. They were kind of bouncing back and forth between each other, and they'd be like, oh, do you think that this is this something, or is that okay? And they'd be like, oh, nah, that looks normal. I think that's just a little stain, you know, just little stuff like that. That was very, very fascinating. And I feel like, and I learned some terms like, and so I learned some terms like anatomy. That was probably the most interesting thing to me, is that he kept being like, is this anatomy, or is this an abnormality? You know, and I'm like, is it an abnormality or is it just anatomy? And I just heard them, and they kept being like, yeah, no, I think that's just anatomy. And I learned this really cool new way to use that term, where I guess that dental students consider just like variations on the normal I don't know, like textbook structure of a human, are just called anatomy. or at least that's what I gathered. Tying shirt. Are you trying to create, sorry, little moment. Are you asking, is this what you're asking? Are you asking me about this little technique move? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Haydar, I am not a fashion guru, as much as I may look like one. But you can do this little 80s move. Is that what you wanted me to do, Haydar? Is that the tie, the 80s tie? No tying shirt. Hmm. Well, I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about, Haydar, but maybe if you can further, uh, like in Zumba plaid shirt. Hmm. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is. So perhaps at a future date, I can do that for us if I get more information on what you're looking for. But for now, this is just going to, I guess we're going to have our 80s moment for now. Anyways, all right. Good exercise. This is a good experiment, me. Not only am I getting some practice speaking off the cuff, I'm getting practice interacting with random people. This is wonderful. And thank you for interacting with my chat. I really do appreciate it. It is very exciting. Okay. So I continue. And the process took, I was in that office for probably like 4 hours. And the thing is it's normally kind of, if you're with a normal dentist, I'm sure it's a lot quicker because they know what they're doing. They don't tell you what they are thinking. But I was really enjoying this dialogue between the two students as they just discussed whether or not things in my mouth were weird. And this could have been an opportunity for me to be very like self-conscious. And I'm not gonna lie, when they started, I was a little bit, but as they kind of continued, and I could tell that they weren't noticing my mouth with judgment as much as curiosity. And that I did respect because I'm like, oh, these people aren't judging me. They're just like genuinely curious and trying to like learn here. And I'm like, this works for me. And now I'm learning too. So by the time they had done all the x-rays and they had scraped around and looked at everything, turns out actually I did not have a cavity at all. Turns out the reason that my gums were a little bit sore just on one of my back tooths was because, after the many years of buildup, there was some calcite that had built up to the point where it was finally irritating my gums. So that was the issue. So all I had to do to fix my problem at the dentist today was get a teeth cleaning, which is what I wanted because I've been dreaming of the day that that the gunk gets cleaned off of my retainer. So sexy, I know. And man, it feels awesome. Not gonna lie. But okay, so as I was going, and they were just so nice. That was the thing. Is like they were just so nice, and it was this very, because it's like we were all close together, there was not 6 feet in between us, they're like touching my face and my teeth and putting their hands in my mouth. And this is when I started to realize that I was like, I think COVID is affecting me more than I thought because, I've got these people around me and they're like talking, and I was just trying to keep it cool, That's always what I try to do when I'm in professionals or just any situation is I try to keep it chill. I try to keep things real and lighthearted, and I try not to be too like fussy about it. And even though I'm at the dentist, like I'm taking this 80s moment off. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Lost my train of thought. I was too distracted by my 80s knot. And back to the moment in this story. This is a moment. See, this is a moment. This is a moment that I was also anticipating, which is also why I'm practicing doing this, because I knew that there was going to be a moment where I was going to trip up my brain and I was going to lose my train of thought, and then I'm not going to have anything to say. And that's super awkward, right? So that's why it's good to just have awkward moments of silence with you, nobody. You, silent nobody. And Hadar. Well, I guess Hadar's gone now, probably. But okay, so I'm having this moment where they're like next to me, and they're just students, so we're like kind of the same age. So I'm just kind of like, and we're just like chatting, and at one point they're just like start chatting about the professors and who their favorite is, and oh man, the dean, such a dean, and I was just like, and I just found myself just sitting there at the dentist, getting my teeth cleaned, and it's not, my gums are bleeding. It's not particularly pleasant experience, but I'm sitting here with these total strangers having this intimate moment, and I just find myself smiling, and I find myself so charmed by the moment, and it was just, it took me by surprise, because I was not looking forward to going to the dentist today. Who looks forward to going to any kind of doctor? But again and again, I found these moments throughout the day where I was forced out of my home, to do something I didn't want to do. And honestly, turns out I really didn't need to do it. I'm gonna save myself a little bit of money, but at least my teeth are clean now. And at least I didn't not go and then have it actually be a problem and then have it be worse down the road. At least I went, found out everything was fine. And I was just needed to get some gunk off of my teeth. But I was noticing like just these little moments, and then the overseeing physician comes in, and I'm the only patient in there, I'm pretty sure, and I just feel like we're all just like hanging out, and I was like, huh, you know. The pandemic is getting to you when going to the dentist turns into a lively social experience, That's where we're at right now. Go to the dentist. You got to go to the dentist to get some random chatting social times. So eloquently spoken. Yeah. And it's just like, I was just noticing too, just like all of these little moments that just felt so, they're so close. And it's like, oh, he's checking my neck for cancer. And it just felt like, because I haven't seen anybody for so long, I just felt like, oh, this feels so like sensual to be having you touch my neck right now. And it was just such a bizarre experience that was so like unexpected, and by the end we were all just like chatting and laughing, and they kept calling me friend and being like, hey, yeah, and I felt so bad for the one guy who was cleaning my teeth, Armand. He was so sweet and nice to me the whole time, and he felt so bad because I was in pain a few times. Like, there was some stuff that was really stuck on my retainer in there, and it did not feel good, and I just felt for him because he just kept apologizing and just being like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hurt you. I'm sorry that I'm hurting you. I'm sorry. And I'm like, wow, wow. That's why you should all go to student dentists, because they still care. They care enough that they don't want to hurt you, and they're trying to be very delicate, and I did not expect to go to the dentist today and feel like I was hanging out with some friends. And that's the unexpected joy that I found today. That's the unexpected joy that I found today. Is to go to a place expecting it to be utterly miserable, only to find it's sublime. I don't know if I'll ever be able to describe a dentist experience as sublime ever again in my life, but I feel like this moment in time created this strangely beautiful, strangely strange moment of humans distanced, trying to do the right thing, but still you can't help but to find those human moments when you come together. And it reminds you that we're all in this together. We're not alone. Lately I've been getting very isolated in my own zone. I've been getting my little book of monsters to print, and oh boy, it has been taking a lot out of me. You never realize how much work it takes to make a book. And my book is not even that long, okay? It's 31 pages. 31 pages. My teeth got a score of 31. That's how old I am. I'm feeling some weird numbers going on right now. A number thing happening. Anyways, little tangent for me. And I must say that I think this was a pretty good year for me. Things have been hard. I didn't realize how much being alone must be affecting me until today, when I had this very human experience again, and I realized, oh, this is what it is to be human. I forgot this. I've kind of developed a new way of being human recently, and I'm very grateful for that unexpected joy at the dentist today. To have the kindness and the intimacy and a little moment of being human, a little moment behind the mask. Oh, one funny moment I do want to bring up though is I had just been hanging out with these guys, and and by the end we were all just hanging out and just chatting and just being like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. And I just don't have my mask on because they've been working on me. And so I'm just chatting, walking back up to the front, not even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden it's the warmth, the connection of the moment. It's all of a sudden snap back to reality. All of a sudden Armand, instead of being my bud well at the dentist, all of a sudden it's put your mask on. And I was like, oh yeah, right, sorry, I totally forgot. It's because I haven't had it on this whole time, so I totally forgot that it wasn't on. And then it just, I did notice that shift though, that also made me think, where it was oh, it was just so kind and warm and nice, and it didn't feel stressful the way that I thought that it would, honestly. Maybe the fact that I was like the only patient there, and I'm sure everybody had been tested from COVID, and but there was just that moment walking in the hallway up to the front desk again, when all of a sudden, oh, you need your mask on. Put it on. And it changed the mood. And like I said, I'm not an anti-masker. I think masks are fine, but I am noticing the way that it is subtly psychologically changing me. I do think that there's a point to that, and I know it's not temporary, so it's fine. But if I'm very curious to see the psychological shift once we go back to not wearing masks. Like I just wonder if it's going to be a little bit more of like this same sort of like, oh, weird. Honestly, there's part of me that still wants to just keep wearing them. I'm like, there's a part of me that's almost sad. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to put on makeup to go to the store again. No, I don't, but I will feel like I have to if I don't wear a mask. So, or I can just get over it. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about my very human experience of joy today, and just practice talking off the cuff a little bit. Maybe I'll try to record something a little more focused and, I don't know, poetic, with a point that ends you with a real pow. But live, I'm not really sure how to do that in this moment. I'm not really sure how to line it up to end with a pow. But I've been going for 47 minutes, and I have not eaten at all today because I didn't want to eat before I went to the dentist, because I didn't want to grody up my teeth before going to the dentist. And then he told me that I should wait 1 to 2 hours before eating. So I guess it's been an hour, right? It's been like an hour and a half, I guess. It's probably been almost 2 hours. Yeah. So I think that's probably where I should end it, is just say thank you for listening. I don't know if you got anything out of this stream. You got a little window into my life for today, at least. And I hope to see you soon. I do want to say, though, my book, I've sent it out. The proof is in the mail. They're sending me a proof right now. So Thursday or Friday, I will have a proof of my book, all bound and printed, and I will be able to see if it's good or not. I'll be able to see if I can officially launch it, which is what I was trying to do in October. Didn't happen the way I planned, because it takes a long time putting together a book to get printed. Turns out it takes a long time. And on that note, look forward to that. When I get my proof, perhaps I'll go live and, like, I don't know, maybe give my thoughts on it and critique, give you guys a little sneaky peek on that. And until then, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. It means a lot to me. And I wish you well. And I hope to see you next time. May you find an unexpected joy for yourself today. Bye.